The much anticipated solo shuffle tier list. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, this tier list is specific to solo shuffle, okay? This is a solo shuffle tier list. We're doing this live on stream, so if you guys disagree with anything I say, just know that you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. You guys can disagree with me and we can have a conversation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's just go through this list in no particular order. We're gonna start from left to right, okay? Affliction Warlocks. Affliction Warlocks in solo shuffle are very mediocre. There are some lobbies where you can absolutely dominate as an Affliction Warlock, but most lobbies are an absolute struggle. I would put Affliction Warlock at a solid C tier. I put Affliction Warlock at a C tier, although it's borderline D tier. Not a huge fan of it. I don't even know if there's any, in solo shuffle in particular, I don't know if there's that many specs that are D tier in my mind, okay? Okay, so Affliction Warlock C tier. Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage just received some buffs. There's been some other streamers that have listed Arcane Mage as S tier for solo shuffle. I actually don't agree with that. I don't think that Arcane Mage is S tier. I would put it at A tier. I think it's very good, but I think it still has some problems. In some lobbies, you're very difficult to kill. You have really good burst damage, but I'm really not biased. I mean, I'm okay. I'll explain this as I go on, okay? We'll just explain this as we go on. I'm going to put Arcane at A tier, okay? Maybe even A+. Arms Warrior, we're going to go in at C tier. I'm not a big fan, like, when I fight Arms Warrior. So this is partly, like, how afraid am I when I fight these specializations? Arms Warrior, not afraid, okay? It is a solid C tier at the moment. Assassination is very similar. Might even be D tier, but we'll put it in C for now. Beast Mastery Hunter. I still feel like Beast Mastery Hunter is an A specialization in solo shuffle. You bring a lot of damage. You have good crowd control. You have a Mortal Strike effect. Your damage is partly unavoidable. I still think you can do a good job kiting and live for a long time. I personally am going to put it at an A tier specialization. Lower than Arcane, though. Demonology. I feel like Demo is still good too. When I look at the leaderboards, I feel like Demo is probably still an A tier spec. It can be very frustrating, but I think if you're a good Demo Warlock, you can still do quite well in most lobbies. Destro as well. I've been playing a lot of Destro myself. I feel like you can keep yourself alive for a long time if you're good at kiting. You have good setup potential. You have good burst potential. I would definitely put it in that A position. I kind of feel like Destro is better than Demo, but I might be wrong about that. Devastation Evoker, I'm going to put it at C tier. It's just not great. It's a bit underwhelming, right? Like, every time you have Dragon Rage, you can do a lot of damage, you can do a lot of burst, but at the end of the day, you're just not getting the job done. According to most, this will be our first healer, okay? So we'll do Disc Priest. I'm going to put Disc Priest at D tier. I think it's probably the least effective of the healers right now. Its throughput is just not that high, and in solo shuffle, when dampening ramps up so quickly, you just get to a point where you're out of mana and you can't heal. So it's pretty bad. And remember, guys, if you disagree with anything I'm saying, feel free to disagree with me. Okay? Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman, especially if you're cheating and botting, is definitely an A tier specialization. Good disruption, good damage. Eventually, over time, you're just going to be putting out a ton of pressure that's really hard to deal with. I'm making jokes about the botting, but I do think Elemental Shaman is a really strong spec at the moment, especially in solo shuffle in particular. We can keep going with Enhancement Shaman. So Enhancement Shaman is, I feel like Enhancement Shaman might be like one of those specs that's kind of hit or miss. In some lobbies, it's really strong. Like, you have all that added utility of a Shaman with Tremor and Hex and Wind Shear and Purge and Ground and Static. In some lobbies, I feel like you're kind of susceptible to being trained down, but there's always that like RNG factor where you can just outright one-shot somebody. So, and I think their consistent damage is quite high. I'm actually going to put Enhance at A tier. The RNG procs are quite strong, and you can do a ridiculous amount of damage. Pharaoh Druid as well. I'm going to put it at... What do we guys think of a Feral? I'm leaning towards A. Could be B. But I think it's A. All right, next up, we have Fire Mage. Now, I want to give you my reasoning for why I put Arcane at A tier, okay? Because in my personal opinion, I think Frost and Fire are just as good as Arcane. Maybe even better. Like I was speaking with Maro, and Maro thinks that Arcane and Shuffle is the worst of the 3 Mage specs. So I actually think all 3 specs of Mage are A tier right now. I think all 3 specs of Mage are A tier, maybe even A+, like really, really strong. So I do think Mage is quite good in Solo Shuffle at the moment. Next up, we have Frost Decays. Frost Decays. You got a big one-shot. Like, here's the thing with Frost Decays. Like, there's certain lobbies where you could do okay with your setup, but you are really cheesy. You are really gimmicky. I'm going to be putting Frost Decay at D tier. It is getting some changes on Tuesday. There's a slight chance it could be C tier, but my gut instinct is putting Frost Decay down at D tier for the moment. So that's exactly where it's going to go. On the flip side, we have Unholy Death Knight, which I would actually put at S tier. I think Unholy Death Knights are insanely good. I think the only problem with Unholy Death Knights is their defense lacks a little bit, but any kind of caster lobbies, like they do extremely well. I'm going to put them at S tier. And I feel like you have a really good ability to like carry lobbies and stuff like that. So they're definitely up there. Windwalker as well, currently S tier. Really mobile, high burst, good defense, good control, good setups. In general, I feel like the classes that can do basically their own goes are really, really strong. Like, if you can do your own go in Solo Shuffle, it gives you a really good agency to straight up just win the match, you know? So we're going to be putting Windwalker Monk at S tier. Next, we'll do Retribution Paladin. I'm going to put Retribution Paladin at S tier as well. I know you guys might think I'm capping, but Retribution Paladins are extremely well represented. I could put it at A+. We could put Red at A+. But I feel like Rep Paladins, especially in like Cleave lobbies, do extremely well. They're very well represented. You can go check the numbers for yourself. Like go search Solo Shuffle, look at 2400 plus, and you will see how good Rep Paladins really are. They're super strong. Fury Warrior, decent, can do well in certain lobbies, certainly better than Arms Warrior. But I'm going to go ahead and put it at a B tier for the time being. Can you split A and A+? You guys want me to do an A+? I think it's fine. Oh, this is fine. We don't need to get too crazy. Like, the ones that are further on the left side for A are the A+ specs. Further on the right, like it's totally fine. We can look at Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin is going to be S for me. I think overall it's probably the most well-rounded spec. It's got really good defensive cooldowns that you can rotate through. Super strong. You can go out of mana, but I feel like if you manage your mana really well, you can extend the game for a really long time. Holy Priest, I'm going to put at B. What do we think? B? Low A? B? I'm going to put it at B, I think. Okay, I'll put it at A. I've been peer pressured into putting it at A, so I'll put it there. Mistweaver Monks, I feel like, are also an A tier specialization. Preservation Evokers, I think, are also an A tier specialization. Resto Druids. Resto Druids aren't bad, but I feel like you have to be insane to make them work. So I'm going to put them at a B tier. Resto Shaman, I'm going to put at B tier as well. I think I want to put the caveat on Resto Shaman. Maybe I'll put it A tier. I feel like Resto Shaman's good too. It's pretty well represented. What do you guys think? A tier or B tier? Maybe we'll put Resto at B. What do you guys think? Maybe we could put Druid up there. Like, the healers are hard because I feel like all the healers are pretty solid right now. I don't know if I feel comfortable putting Mistweaver at... Shuffle is B. Okay, so maybe for Resto Shaman, Solo Shuffle, they're B tier, but in regular arena, they're better. Mistweaver is B for sure. Really? Mistweaver is B? I feel like Mistweaver is great. I don't know if I agree with you guys. Mistweaver is one kick away from an L always. Okay, what do you think about... Okay. I need your help, Absturge. Absturge, does this healer look good, like, for Solo Shuffle? S tier Paladin, A tier Holy Priest, and Pres Evoker. B tier Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, Mistweaver, and D tier is Disc. Yes or no? I need a little bit of backup here for the healers because Monk is higher because of Fist Weaving. Otherwise, it's right. Okay, so that's what I thought. Monk has the option to Fist Weave, which I think is really strong. If you're a Monk that can Fist Weave and you can cast, I feel like, yeah, I'm going to put it A tier. That's what I had. Demon Hunters, I am going to put there with Fury Warriors. Like, I think they're okay. They're okay. It's interesting because for healer, this is the last thing I'm going to say on the healers. For healers, I feel like your perception of tiers is different if you only play one healer. That's what I've noticed. I noticed if you're a healer and you only play one healer, like for example, a Resto Druid probably thinks that a Preservation Evoker is S tier. And priests probably think Druids and Mistweavers are way better than they actually are just because they lose the long game always. You know what I mean? Like, the perception is different for different healers, but I feel like as a DPS and like playing lots of different things, like, yeah, I don't know. Because I do think there's like kind of a rock, paper, scissors with the healers, depending on what the lobbies are, in my opinion. Okay, we'll keep going. Marks. I'm going to put Marks at B tier. Put Marks at B tier. Boomkin, that's going straight up to S tier. Shadow Priest going up to S tier. I think they're really strong still. Augmentation Evoker, all jokes aside, I think I'm going to put it... What would you guys say for Aug? S or A+? S? Yeah, I'm thinking S too. All right, we'll put it up there. Actually, I'm going to put Aug at A+. We'll put it A+. Subtlety Rogue. Subtlety Rogue is probably the best of the rogue specs. It's hard. Like the rogue, like, I don't know. What are you guys thinking about sub? My gut is telling me B. S+. Really? I mean, I don't feel comfortable putting it S+. I'll put it at A. I think a really good sub rogue can be in that A category. I think you have to be really, really like, I will put it closer here, like A+. Outlaw. I think Outlaw is down here in C tier. Maybe it's slept on. I don't know. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's B tier. It's like it's not represented very well, but maybe if you're really good at it, you can do well. And then Survival Hunter, I think I'm going to put it with a B tier as well. I think depending on the lobby, it can do really well. I think Survival Hunter might actually be A tier, to be honest. Arms is too low. Okay. We'll bring Arms up. I agree with that, actually. Looking at what's in C tier, I agree that Arms is higher. I'd put Arms at A. And I think, or at B, I'll put Survival at A. Affliction is a tragedy. I think this is good. Okay. So this is the official tier list, guys, for Solo Shuffle. The current patch Solo Shuffle tier list. Some people are saying that Fury needs to be higher. Really? Red is not S tier? I'm sorry you feel that way, but it is. Stuff needs to be lower, can only be A and 3s. I don't know. The thing is, like, the biggest propagandists in World of Warcraft are Rep Paladins and Rogues. This is a fact. The people that sandbag the hardest are Rep Paladins and Rogues in World of Warcraft. So I can't trust anyone's opinion. Like, I have to follow my own gut and I have to follow the numbers for those two. Rep Paladins do very well. If you guys don't believe me, you could take a look. So just we look at 2400 plus in Solo Shuffle. Rep Paladins are up there with Windwalker Monks. And that's in the US, and in EU, it's a similar story. So, I mean, the data would suggest that I'm not a liar. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the tier list? Am I off on this? Am I crazy with any of these? I feel like this is very reasonable. Look, I put my specs, Windwalker at S tier, and I put all 3 mage specs at A+ tier. Okay? I think that's very fair.